I think maybe I know that I'm being harder on myself than I need to be. And that's just part of my personality, and that maybe I'm not as awful as I'm telling myself I am actually.
I can do that up here in my brain. And then there's another voice that's like, yeah, you would say that, you piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's
So yeah.
record the intro now.
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads, we love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey,
Hey.
Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey.
Hey, Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take. Hey y'all, this is part 2 of a wide-ranging conversation we had with Caitlin Murray of Big Time Adulting. Kind of started off being about social media and ended up being about, I don't know, life, guilt, being hard on ourselves, the good stuff. Here we go.
I do think that kids know how to push buttons. They know where they're getting reactions from people or where they're not, whether it's with their siblings or with their parents or whatever. I feel as though they're sophisticated enough to know what they're doing in certain situations. But understanding that as you try to repeat it back to them of like, why would you, whatever, then I think you lose them. I think that's like there's more of a primal, I know how to get this reaction if I do this, but like.
But they don't even know that that's what they're doing. So in logic is not going to undo when they're being a shit dick. Like,
Word of the day.
Yeah, shit dick.
Because that's what I always try to do is use logic on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see what you did there? I'm going to stay calm, but I'm going to say logical things when you're having an emotional breakdown.
And does it
does not work?
No.
It can work like the next day.
Yeah.
When I want to dredge it back up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bud, like, chat about, just remember. And that actually kind of works the next day, but there's literally no reason to do it in the moment, but that's when I typically try to do it.
I sometimes, like, with my kids, I'll say, like, I know what happened. I saw Luke, like, if it's my daughter and my little guy or whatever, I saw him, like, fucking with you, basically, or whatever. I understand why you're pissed off. I understand why that upset you. We need to get over this right now because we got to get to school. So not just, like, move on, get over it. It's more like, saw it, understood, let go of it.
Yeah. I heard a good explanation of that whole, because there's times when it's like, but I don't want to validate their feelings. Their feelings kind of feel like bullshit. Right now. And I heard an explanation of it that was helpful, which is like the part of the brain they're in when they're feeling those big feelings, that part of their brain does not do language even really. You got to meet them at that part of their brain first. Because like your reptilian brain is like bigger, it's faster, it's better developed, it's older. And when it's like, particularly for a kid, their reptilian brain is like fully developed when they're small. And their frontal cortex isn't developed until they're 25.
Yeah.
That's why college kids are such fucking
So
idiots. Yeah. So it's like when their reptilian brain is really in charge, you can't say, nothing you say to them means anything at all.
Yeah.
So validating the feeling is really about like talking to that part of their brain where they are so that you can then talk to the part of their brain they can actually like make choices about anything, which makes it all that stuff. When I learn about their brain, it makes it feel more sciencey and less fucking soft. And like, I'm just getting walked all over. It makes it feel like more strategic or something.
Do you lean on your wife a lot for like to talk about this stuff? I imagine it would be really helpful to be married to.
Yes, I do. But largely what I try to do, because I don't want her to teach me shit.
Yeah.
I just ask her what books I should read.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's funny being married to a therapist.
I know. I actually don't know. Maybe I wouldn't like it if I was married to one. Maybe I just want like my best friend to
Your
be
bestie?
there.
Yeah. No, she does a pretty good job of not like putting the on. And the other thing is like, she's a therapist. She knows all the things she should do. She shouts at her fucking kids.
Yeah.
Because sometimes she's exhausted.
Because she's a human.
Because she's a human.
Yeah.
Being. Yeah. So knowing it's one thing.
Have you ever tried to like do any of those things with your kids or say the things that you're being like instructed to say? Like the childhood experts and stuff out there, your kids will look at you and be like, who dis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a
You
robot.
know? Yeah.
You sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Mom, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, who dis?
Where is my mom?
Who dis?
Yeah.
Have you tried it? Have you tried the experiment?
A couple of times, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is just such bullshit flying out of my mouth. I can't. I'll just have to do it. And I have to do it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, and they say that this is a weird tangent, but they say this is why sociopaths freak people out. Like, if you're around a sociopath, you kind of know. You just feel like you're in danger.
Yeah.
And I think like kids are so like their antennae are pretty strong.
Yeah.
And if there is a dissonance between what you're saying and what they can tell you're feeling, that's scarier.
Yeah.
Than, hey, you know what I mean? Like if they can tell that you're like,
like you're not you right now.
Seething, but you're like, I hear your feelings. They're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? I think like dad has lost his mind.
Yeah, you're scaring me.
You're scaring me because there's a dissonance between how I can tell you're feeling and what you're saying to me. And like, that's fucked up. Like you can't trust that.
Like it's just, I think all the solutions are just non-sexy.
Yeah.
It's like, be calm, like give yourself a little more time. Like no one wants to hear that. They want to hear like, give me the quick hit, that quick H in the vein. Like, what do I need to do? Like give me the keywords, the alakazam, the experimento, Harry Pottero.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it just doesn't work that way. It's like, just be cool with like occasionally yelling at your kids to get compliance, or spend a just shitload more time with them. Like the only time it ever really works is if you just happen to have a fuckload of time to establish a connection and go empathetic and be like, hey, like I asked you to do the shoes like 10 times. Like I'm feeling like I'm going to start crying right now. Like, I don't know that really works, actually.
You tell them you're going to start crying?
Yeah, it's a bit of a lie. And they're like, really? You cry? And what I mean is scream.
Yeah.
But I do say that. I'll be like, guys, Dad feels like he's about to cry. And they'll immediately, that will get their attention more than anything. Like, what?
Yeah.
Seriously? I'm like, yeah, I'm like super frustrated because let me tell you a little bit about my life. I was born and I go through this whole story like I'm just a fucking guy, guys. I'm a kid. I was like 8 years old like yesterday. And now I'm here and I got you guys and I got to take care of you guys. And I need you guys to put the shoes on. And when you don't do it and you go downstairs, it makes me want to cry and jump out the window.
Yeah.
So like, what do I do, guys?
Definitely jump out the window.
What do I do?
Well, and what you're doing actually is kind of fucking interesting because it's the opposite of reading the robot script. You are trying to make them see, like, I'm a person too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm another wild card in this equation. I'm not just archetypal dad.
And it becomes a little bit collaborative because I'll be like, I honestly don't know what to do. So what can we do? And they'll sometimes try to come up with it. Like, well, maybe we'll just put them on. I'll be like, well, you won't.
Yeah.
You
but
don't.
You don't. But we still.
So what can we do? Because I don't know what to do, guys.
But is that just life? Like we just go through life with this series of annoying events on a daily basis over and over again until we move on to the next phase of new annoying events that we deal with on a daily basis over and over again until that phase eventually ends.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in every phase of life, we are the best at what we do. Like I could not drink as much as I did in college.
No.
I tried 1 year out, I almost died. Like you can't go back. Same with my grandparents. When my parents come and try and take care of our kids for an extended period of time, they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I'm like, but you did this.
It's really
and
jarring.
They're like, we are out of practice.
Yeah.
This is on another level.
Really hard.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
Yeah.
But don't you also like? It's weird. I never thought I would feel so happy and unhappy
At the same
time.
Yeah.
It's a really weird stage of life.
I think that's the hard part, that it's like this such duality of what you feel on a day-to-day basis, such extremes.
Yeah. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and we were just talking about like your cup is so full in some ways, but then there's this constant frustration, and then you just do virtually nothing for yourself. And my wife was like, how often do you do something that's exactly what you want to do? And I was like, well, that's why I stay up so late, so I get a couple hours after he goes to bed. And she's like, yeah, but are you doing exactly what you want to do? You can't leave the house.
Yeah.
You got to clean up. You got to work out because you haven't, like, we're almost never
doing what you want.
And then
exactly
you're more
what I wanna
tired,
do.
and then you're all like,
Yeah.
There's an element of surrender, of just kind of like, at least for a period of time while you have the young kids, where it's almost easier to just kind of let go. Mm-hmm. You said it last time you were on our show or we were on yours about being late, I think. And you're like, you said someone told you, like, it's just kind of not worth it to be screaming at your kids like every fucking day.
Yeah.
When you said that, we started putting that in. And, yesterday we were out a little late, came home a little late. So one of our kids slept in, just took him to school late.
Yeah.
Like if you have the luxury to do that, before we had that chat, like I would have woken him up. with 10 minutes to go, let's go. And he would have been all fucking shell-shocked. Because he needs like 10 minutes to wake up. But I'd be like, let's go. You're eating in the car. Here we go. Come on, let's go, buddy. And he's like, Dad, you're scary, man. And it's like, and then I would just get madder because he's like dragging his feet. He moves slower the faster we need him to go.
So much of the way that I react in those situations, like these daily pressure cooker situations, is a function of what else is going on in my life at that time. Like if it is just like a normal school day and I don't have 700 other things I need to get done and pack in that day, then I tend not to lose my temper.
Yeah.
But it's really when I'm feeling more spread thinly that I can't handle the not listening. Like, because they're not sensing my urgency.
They don't sense your urgency.
Right.
No.
And also, like, the worst thing is, like, when you typically give yourself 5 minutes to leave the house.
You need, like,
or 30. And then I showed up 30 seconds before I needed to take the boys to basketball.
Yes.
And usually, not usually, but sometimes there's some I don't want to go conversation that I can diffuse in a 5 to 7 minute convo.
Yeah.
But it was a 30-second thing. I'm like, let's go. And I just left him. I'm just like, fine, stay home.
Yeah.
But it was one of those cognitive dissonance things because I stayed calm, but I was raging inside. Like I didn't blow up. It almost probably would have been better to be like, not cool. I'm out of here. That would have been more real. But instead I was like, all right, bud, well, you're staying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like real, like shot some daggers. Like,
Dad, why are your nostrils doing that?
Your way.
why are you walking like arm and leg
I've thought
together?
about doing that, just leaving like the house before they're ready and off and just being like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Get yourself to school. You don't want to listen to me when I say it's time? You deal.
Yeah. There's probably something to that, right?
Natural consequences.
Natural consequences. Yeah.
I actually don't have the cojones to go through with it. I'm
know.
just always like,
Well, yeah, 'cause-
gonna make sure they get out the door.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't either. What are you going to do? Like, this was like I had to take the other son to basketball who wanted to go.
Yeah.
They were going to a camp together. Tell me if you think this is weird, but I was like, okay, no TV, no nothing. Just go read in your room while we're
I
there.
think that's completely. I mean,
be like a
I'm going to
party.
assume that you asked kid number 2 that didn't want to go to the camp that day originally if they wanted to do the camp.
Yeah.
And then
it was basketball was
verbal
their favorite- one of their favorite
confirmation,
sports.
yes, I want to do this. You committed to it. You don't want to go. You're not allowed to do some fucking random thing that you'd rather do instead right now because that's just...
Yeah. That seems pretty
And
reasonable.
then, honestly, I think
Unless it was like a discussed thing.
there's like a
I'm-
learning there, too, because then afterward, I'd cooled off and I wasn't flaring my nostrils so hard. And I was just like, you wish you kind of went, bud? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's cool. Well, next time
Next time you know.
we'll chat about
Yeah.
it. Kind of like no harm, no foul in a way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need to learn those sorts of lessons without traumatizing the kid.
Yeah, natural consequences are powerful because then you're not the source of the.
I actually find that when I do that with my daughter, who gives me probably the hardest time about everything, that it works like a little bit of a reverse psychology thing. This is what I think, but this is your decision ultimately.
Yeah.
And then she usually comes to the right decision on her own with that, but she just doesn't want to be told.
Dude, I do try to like really think about that a lot. And there's no avoiding it. You have to do it. But kids get told what to fucking do all the time.
All the time.
All the time. It's like, get in the car. We're going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
That's just kids' life. Like that lack of control.
I don't fucking feel bad for them, though. I'll let you know.
Well, there's no choice. They can't handle their
Fine
shit.
with it.
You
Yeah.
gotta like have to.
But it would be frustrating.
But it would be frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like I'm like, oh, I wish I could really put my kids in charge because what a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But I do have to remind myself that like that's gotta suck.
But also, like, I was always just down to clown. It's like, what are we doing? Where are we going?
I'm coming. I'm going.
Yeah, what do I
Here
gotta
we
do?
go. Great.
Maybe it's because
Let's
my
do it.
parents got a divorce when I was young, so I was like people pleaser.
Maybe.
So like I was always just like, hey, everything's cool, everybody.
I
We're
was
all
like
good.
that too, but because I think my brother was like the troublemaker more and the boat rocker. I always felt like I wanted to steady the boat. Sure.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting though is like I think sometimes kids do need to kind of learn a little bit of. We talked about this on the episode about grit. It's like you don't want to raise a quitter. You know what I mean? Like that's. And I try to do a lot of stuff like with our sons, mainly because they're older, but just like about, life is kind of like you don't want to do stuff and you got to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to drive you guys to basketball.
I say that all the time. I'm like, you think I want to go here on Saturday
But
afternoon
it's part
with
of
you?
learning about
It's a beautiful
life.
day. You think I want to dedicate my whole day to this
Sounds a little sad,
tournament?
but like it can't just all be sugarcoated all the time. That
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything's going to be great. And here's the thing: I feel like you don't want the kids to grow up too fast or like project adult emotions on the kids, like be an adult. But by the time they're 18 or 25, they should be an adult. So at some point along the way, they need to pick up some of those lessons. You know what I mean?
I did some ridiculous things when I was like a teenager and a young adult, though, like that were so idiotic that I can't believe that. Like my mom in college once brought me up this like big pot of chili for like my roommates and stuff in like one of her nice like pans. And I ended up putting it in the fridge or whatever and like never got down to the bottom. And there was just like chili sitting in the fridge. And I think it was like the last day of school after it had been in there for like 5 months. And I opened it and I was like, I'm actually not going to do anything about this. And I threw the entire pot away. And like I never said anything about it to my mom. And then finally she was like, I remember she was blaming my brother for it. She like thought that she had given it to him. And I was like, that was actually me. She's like, I can't believe you threw away that pot. That pot probably cost $200 or something like that. Right. And I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I had no fucking idea. Don't send your nice pot up to a college dorm room. How about that?
Wait, way to fuck this up, Mom.
Yeah.
Like I would have done that exact same thing. And I feel like I was like a really good kid. But I can't imagine my kids doing that.
I would be like, you idiot.
There's no way my kids would ever do that. So like, were my parents like more lax? Like, but I would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did
know.
do it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to like the part of your brain that is grossed out by cleaning that out.
Yeah.
That's the part of your brain that's all the way there. The part of the brain that's like, they probably paid a lot of money for that. This is a responsible thing. That's like, you're not there yet. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I should have. I mean, I was a pretty high functioning human at that point. I did the right thing like all the time for the most part. But I mean,
But not to
all
your
the
mom.
time, but
yeah. We all treat our moms worse than everybody else.
This episode is brought to you by Milkless. We are self-funded, self-sponsored. Matt and Max, we're spending way too much time a week on this for your listening pleasure. So, if you want to help out, please visit our Patreon. Just kidding, we don't fucking do Patreon. We're not asking for any money. All we want is for you to text this to a friend. So, if you could pause the episode right now, think of someone who might benefit from Milkless. Maybe it's a dad you know, a mom you know, someone
Think
who...
of the shittiest father you know.
No, that shittiest father doesn't care enough to listen. But someone who maybe likes podcasts and, you know, the thought of a parenting podcast is like, oh my God, it's like so dry. You can tell them how funny I am and how Matt
Also says things sometimes.
you need a dictionary to understand half of the things he's saying because he likes to show his big vocabulary.
Oh my God.
So,
read a book, Max.
Anyway, what was I saying? So just pause the episode right now. Text a friend. It means so much to us, and you will ensure that we will continue making these episodes free of charge forever.
What if the universe's joke is that, what if everyone has something wrong with them? Like you can't, even the people that are perfect, they have a dungeon with people down there.
Yes.
Like
in skin suits.
There's always something.
It puts the lotion in the
but we don't know it. And we don't know it about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we're always trying to fill this void when, we got to be above average parents.
I don't know. Like, this is one of the scariest concepts for me as a person who's on Instagram talking about like parenting and stuff like that. What if when this all unfolds one day, like my kids are drug addicts or like some horrible shit goes on or whatever, and I have no leg to stand on, you know?
Well, but you also haven't spent your whole time telling people,
what to do.
Let me
I'm
buy you a
not
pack of gum. I'll show you how to chew it kind of vibes. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to be like an advice giver, but I actually think that the way that I'm perceived by like my audience is probably someone who's like a good mom, like who has some kind of balance actually going on rather than like, and that's normal and that we're still raising good kids, right? So that's kind of the whole, but that's just what I hope and pray for.
Yeah. It was funny when you were saying everybody's got a dungeon but we don't necessarily see that about ourselves. I feel differently. I feel like
all you see is your dungeon.
I'm hyper aware of my
I
dungeon.
mean, maybe we don't see our own. We don't see anybody else's.
We don't see anybody else's.
We think
That's
we're the
what I mean.
only one who has it, whatever. Because it's like, it's also just polite to not be a fucking mess in public.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, hey, I got all my shit together. But then it's like, some people scream at their kids. Some people, like, have a dungeon.
Yeah.
Some people are addicted to weird shit. Some people drink too much, smoke too much, like addicted to online gambling. Some people like are workaholics. Some people like have self-loathing. Some people like it's all out there, and like I feel like maybe because of the lack of the village thing,
And
we all
even
feel
to
alone.
build on that, I think that like even when you think your problem versus another somebody else's thing, it's like, yeah, but they don't have what I have.
Right,
You
like,
know,
oh,
it's
workaholic?
you always,
I
like,
wish I was a workaholic.
Yeah.
Like,
right. But
Well, and
know
you're
what I mean?
stuck with yourself all the time. And you know all your gross, dumb thoughts. And you're like, every humiliating thing that comes across your brain, you're totally privy to it.
Yeah.
And like, it,
But then don't you also go to that place and think, I think maybe I know that I'm being harder on myself than I need to be. And that's just part of my personality. And that maybe I'm not as awful as I'm telling myself I am right now. Or if I need to be better at this. Or like maybe I'm too hard on myself about stuff, actually.
yeah. I think that's a lot of what, I don't know, there is like an element of forgiveness in all the things that you've put out
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
Of self-forget, just by saying it and saying, I'm willing to say this.
Yeah.
There's like some grace in there. I can do that up here in my brain. And then there's another voice that's like, yeah, you would say that, you piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Work a little harder.
yeah, maybe if you just had a little more self-discipline. You cocknob.
Shit dick.
Fucking shit dick. That's the best one. I mean, you can't really top shit dick. Yeah. But Max, I feel like you are uniquely good at, like, I feel like you actually feel like you're as good a person as you really are.
Yeah, my only thing is I have a tendency to sometimes drink too much at certain events, and then I wake up feeling a little thirsty, and then that next morning I feel bad about myself. That quickly goes away, but like
I am one to get after it from time to time myself, and I always. But the problem is like even though I know like I am generally a pretty healthy person, like I live like, you know, by the week days and stuff. Like I live a really pretty clean lifestyle, get enough sleep. I really don't drink during the week at all, ever, except for maybe tonight if we're going to have a couple drinks or something. If you know, like if you have a dinner or something.
Right,
but I
right.
typically like keep those nights free and blocked off because I prefer to feel great for the week and stuff. But or save it for times where I like where it feels like more special occasion or where I want to throw a few back or something. I'm so hard on myself about it when I do, though.
I know, and like what I've tried to start to do is like take a more of a logical approach, approaching certain things like my 40th birthday. I was like, you know what? I am going to overdo it.
On your 40th birthday,
and like,
yeah.
But even like maybe a 4th of July party, like
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little outside the lines, outside of the Emily Oster 4 drinks. Like,
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to not feel
Good the next day.
good the next day, but let's try not to be.
So on those occasions, I really don't mind that. It's like I've chosen this. Like this was a decision.
Yeah.
The times where I hate myself is when I was like, I didn't need that extra drink. I let that get away.
Well, that's the worst.
And then it's like, why did I ruin tomorrow for that drink or whatever?
But what I would say is it's somewhat similar to the anger outburst things. It can't be the plan on like a random, Saturday that is not a special occasion, but you go a little too far. But it fucking happens. And I have friends, and maybe they have different dungeons, but they don't have this one. If they do that, they're just like, yeah, so what? Go for a run.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. They don't.
I
beat
feel a little
themselves up
shitty
over
today.
it.
Yeah, come on, whatever. I'm like, oh, how? How do you
Yeah.
not go to like, oh, I'm a bad dad, or like, oh, am I cutting my life short? And I think it's because
It's the anxiety in you.
the hangxiety.
Yeah, the anxiety can be real.
It's real.
Yeah.
What's weird is I go to like Milkless and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? We are just nobodies. This is like, who do we think we are?
Oh,
in
like
the anxiety.
Oh, you start to like doubt yourself, self-doubt.
And that's the
in
only
general.
time I have it.
Yeah,
Like,
the imposter thing. Yeah.
It's if I'm like had got no sleep or if I'm hungover. Outside of that, I mean, you know.
You feel
I
like
love the smell of my farts. Like,
It's
flying
good to
pretty
be around.
high.
It's like
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
good for,
yeah,
yeah, it's good for all of us.
just original shit dick over here.
Just the,
I can relate to all that a lot. I mean, I think as I've gotten older, it's just natural curtailing of that partying.
Yeah. But also, like, if you're not getting your rocks off, your dungeon might just be, you know what I mean? Like you were saying, like,
yeah, you got to blow off steam.
The place where I would start to question that is if like people are mad at me or something like that or anything like, or if,
Yeah,
like,
you're, like,
if something,
doing
if there was
shit.
some kind of interaction that went down that it was
Yeah.
was negative.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as long as it was all in good fun, then
And the
Great.
real like fucked up thing is that like me beating myself up, it makes me a worse parent. One of the better things I could do for a parent is just decide that I'm doing a pretty good job and forget, like, hold yourself to a high standard, but then don't like carry it around when you fuck up. Brene Brown talks about this all the time. She's like, shame is the word, like, it is not a good improver of behavior. Feeling shame only ever makes people act worse. Guilt is a different thing. It's like, I wish I hadn't done this thing. But when you go to that place of like, what kind of guy?
Yeah.
What kind of guy wakes up hungover and to parent his kids? That's going to like compound whatever, you know, like shitty job you're already going to do because you're hungover.
So my mom will always say, I love talking to my mom whenever I feel like upset about anything because she's like a wonderful listener and like such a good like lifter upper and stuff like that. She'll never make you feel worse about yourself. She'll always make you feel better. But I can be really hard on myself, and my mom will be the ears of that often or whatever. And she'll say, Caitlin, honey, put the stick down.
Yeah.
You
that's
know?
good. Yeah.
Stop beating yourself up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like going to be just ongoing work for me for forever. Because I also, my oldest daughter can be pretty hard on herself.
Yeah.
So can my wife. She
And
comes
by the
that
way,
honestly.
sometimes that is also your superpower.
Yeah.
Like the things that make you anxious or the extreme versions of you in certain situations also make you a great version of yourself in other situations, right? It's like accept yourself as long as you're not like doing anybody any harm, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the
It is.
question,
It does
are we?
sometimes pay to like just detail the top lines of your life out loud. Mm-hmm. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I've never hit either of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live in a house. I have
Yeah.
a job.
Oh,
Yeah.
I used to do that exercise all the time. Like when I was getting really stressed out at work, working too much, I used to think like, oh, poor me. And then I'd snap out of it. Like there were so many people that would like cut off their friggin' left arm to have my problems. So it's like, I felt like I was just a shit dick Instagram person just there. Here's what I do.
Here's what I do.
Yeah.
No, but just
I
like,
just
oh,
imagine
How much
an
worse it
impoverished
can be.
person. Yeah. And how awesome my life is. Like,
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
what a fucking.
But it's all just kind of ways of talking yourself into putting down the stick a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the stick just don't help that much.
Down the fucking stick, shit dick.
Brought to you by Violet Archer.